जयम् उदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, question by Vidura from the text 31. Text 31. O Uddhava, thus Yuyudhana fared well. He learned the intricacies of the military art from Arjuna and attained the transcendental destination, which is very difficult to reach even for the great renouncer. Text 32. Please tell me whether Akrura, the son of Swakalpa, is doing well. He is faultless soul. Surrender unto the personality of Godhead. He once lost his mental equilibrium due to his ecstasy of the transcendental love and fell down on the dust of the rod, which was marked with the footprints of Lord Krishna. Text 33. As the Vedas are the receiver of the sacrificial purpose, so the daughter of the king, Devaka Bhoja, convenes the Supreme Personality of Godhead in her being, as did the mother of the demigod sees the Devaki doing well. Text 34. May I inquire whether Aniruddha is doing well? He is the fulfiller of all the desire of the pure devotees and has been considered from yore to be the cause of the Rig Veda, the creator of the mind and the fourth plenary expansion of the Vishnu. Text 35. O sober one, others such as Hiprika, Charudeshanagada, and the son of the Satyabhama, who accepted Lord Krishna as the soul of the self and thus followed his path without deviation, are they well? Text 36. Also, let me inquire whether Maharaj Yudhishthira is now maintaining the kingdom according to the religious principles and with respect for the path of religion. Formerly, Duryodhana was burning with envious because Yudhishthira was being protected by the arms of Krishna and Arjuna as if they were his own arms. Text 37. Please tell me whether the unconquerably Bhima, who is like a cobra, has released his long-cherished anger upon the sinners. The field of the battle could not tolerate even the wonderful playing of his cub when he stepped on the path. Text 38. Please tell me whether Arjuna, whose bow bear the name Gandhiva and who is always famous amongst the chariot warrior for the vanquishing his enemies, he is doing well. He once satisfied Lord Shiva by covering him with the arrows when Shiva came as an unidentified fall hunter. Text 39. Are the twin brothers who are protected by their brothers doing well? Just as the eye is always protected by the eyelid, they are protected by the sons of Padu, who snatched back their rightful kingdom from the hands of their enemy Duryodhana, just as Garuda scratched nectar from the mouth of Indra, the thunderbolt carrier. Text 40th. O my lord, is Padu still living? Partha still living, she lived only for the sake of her fatherless children. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to live without the king Pandu, who was the greatest commander and was alone conquered the four directions simply with the help of the second bow. Text 41. O gentle one, I simply lament for him, Dhritarashtra, who rebelled against his brother after death. By him I was driven out of my own house, although I am his sincere well-wisher, because he accepted the line of action adopted by his own son. Text 42. I am not astonished at this, having traveled over the world without being seen by others. The activities of the personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this mortal world, are bewildering to others, but I know of his greatness by his grace, and thus I am happy in all the respects. Text 43. Despite his being the Lord and being always willing to reveal the distress of the sufferers, he, Krishna, refrained from the killing the Kurus, although they committed all sorts of sin, and although he saw other kings constantly aggregating the earth by their strong military movements carried out under the mitigation of three kinds of false pride. Text 44. The appearance of the Lord is manifested for the inhalitation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all the material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? Text 45. O my friend, please therefore chant the glories of the Lord, who is meant to be glorified in the places of pilgrimage. He is unborn, and yet he appeared by his causeless mercy upon the surrendered ruler of all the parts of the universe. Only for their interest did he appear in the family of his unallowed devotees, the Yadus. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, question by Vidura. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madhvi. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Aradhya Madhvi, when are you ready, you can start, Madhvi.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Can you hear me?
Yes, Madhvi.
Okay. Thank you, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are reading from chapter 1, Canto 3, chapter 1, questions by Vidura. So now we are at the end of the chapter, I'm covering 31 to verses 31 to verses 40 to verse 45. So that's pretty much the end of it. So we can just recap just a little bit on what we heard so far. So I'm using the Subodhini to refer to this. So the verses 1 to 5, they discuss how Vidura left his palatial home, which we discussed a little bit earlier too, and Maharaj Parikshit's questions to Sukadeva Goswami as to what happened in the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. Then verses 6 to 16 discuss in more detail what are the circumstances, which actually led to Vidura leaving Hastinapur palace and going for a pilgrimage. So this is discussed in great detail from verses 6 to 16. And then 17 through 25, they described where all Vidura went, like what banks of the rivers he visited and Vishnu temples, and how after visiting all these places, he arrived at Prabhasha Kshetra, and then he heard about the end of the war and how so many relatives had actually died in the battlefield. And then he moves on. Vidura goes further to the banks of Yamuna, where he meets with Uddhava. And there in verses 26 to 45, Vidura is asking several questions to Uddhava. He's asking about the welfare of Yadus and Kurus, including Krishna Balram, like that. So one might inquire, Vidura came to know that they all left the planet. Then why is he asking the questions? So our acharyas explained that this is not for practical reasons, not like that he wants to know some information. For psychological reasons, he is asking the questions again. because he was shocked to know that Krishna and others left the planet. So he kind of inquires from Uddhava what happened in the aftermath of the Kurukshetra war and how is everybody doing. So many personalities are discussed in those verses. And then the chapter ends off with how Lord incarnates to protect his devotees and keep up dharma. So that's discussed in the last 3 verses of the chapter. So this is, in a sense, the summary of the chapter. So I'm going to just highlight some of the verses from text 31 to 45. So let's go to 33. So in this text, in this verse, he's remembering King Devaka. So he's also remembering Devaki also. Devaki is the daughter of Devaka. In text 34, so in these verses, like he's remembering all those personalities, like we'll learn about that. In text 34, he's remembering Anirudh, and he's telling about the qualities of each of them. And he's the name of the devotee along with what is their specialty, that also he's telling. So in Shastras, they talk a lot about remembrance of Krishna. For example, how Brajvasis remembered Krishna, how Ayodhyavasis remembered Lord Rama, how Vaishnavas in Puri and Bengal remember Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gornitai. But here you find not only the Lord is fondly remembered, but the devotees are remembered for their great qualities. Each of them, their highlight qualities, right? So this also we find, just an example, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. Mahaprabhu is also recollecting and remembering about different devotees along with their characteristics. Like when he's talking about Vakreshwar Pandit, he's saying, oh, that Vakreshwar Pandit, he's such a great dancer who once danced for 72 hours nonstop. So I consider him one of my wings. If I get one more wing, I would have flown in the sky. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. So by this kind of recollection, one also enhances remembrance of Krishna. Because every devotee is expert in something, endowed with something unique quality, which may stand out from others. So such as, just an example, as soon as you hear Haridas Thakur name, what comes to your mind? It's a holy name, correct? So like that. So what we learn here is how Vaishnavas dealing with devotee. So attentive observation in devotees doing nice things and overlooking the devotees committing some errors, faults. And in this observation, if we do, it will enhance our Krishna consciousness. And then we'll be able to share with others also. So here in this verse, you'll find Vidura has made observation long time before, and he's recollecting them. And by remembering them, his Krishna consciousness is becoming enhanced. In text 36, after Yudhishthira became the king, is asking, how did he live his kingship? So sometimes when one becomes a king or something, something big, one becomes neglectful or careless about religious principles, or one can become intoxicated with pride. And sometimes we notice they become distracted by managerial, administrative problem-solving mode. And we also see that they get distracted. They get so much distracted that he or she has no time to hear katha. And then when you are in kingship, we also know that a lot of pampering will happen. So if one is put in a position, one can become very comfortable and complacent. And we know that complacency is another big disease in this world. When you are surrounded by so much facilities, luxuries, and there is no one to report to, there's going to be nobody to catch you. So therefore, here in the verse, like he's asking, what did King Yudhishthira do after occupying the post? And then he's remembering how Yudhishthira was protected by arms of Krishna and Arjuna as if they were his own arms. So basically, Yudhishthira Maharaj was protected by Krishna. So his kingship was good. In the 37th verse, he's remembering Bhima. So, and his qualities also. So here he's comparing Bhima to a cobra. And you know that cobra is famous for remembering and striking back later. So Bhima had great anger like that. So he's remembering that also. In the 38th verse, he's remembering Arjuna. In the purport, it says, or in the translation, it says, how he once satisfied Lord Shiva by covering him with arrows when Shiva came as an unidentified false hunter. And Shiva offered Arjuna the Pashupati weapon and blessed him. So he's remembering all of that. In text 39, he's remembering the twin brothers, Nakul and Sahdev. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada's purport, it says that, just a second. Just as the eye is always protected by the eyelid, they are protected by the sons of Pritha. That means Yudhishthira, who snatched back their rightful kingdom. And now he's asking, are the twin brothers who are protected by their brothers doing well? So Prabhupada writes here that although they were stepbrothers, because Kunti took charge of them after the departure of Madhvi with her husband Maharaj Pandu, Nakul, and Sahadev, were as good as the other three Pandavas, namely Yudhishthira, Bhima, and Arjuna. So the five brothers are known in this world as regular brothers. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. So regular brother means blood related. There was no system of stepbrother. Although they were stepbrothers, because Kunti took charge of them after the departure of Madhvi with her husband Maharaj Pandu, Nakul and Sahadev were as good as the other three Pandavas, namely Yudhishthira, Bhima, and Arjuna. And the five brothers are known in the world as regular brothers. So here we can learn a lesson here actually. So sometimes when we have prosperity and someone else has poverty, then we may have tendency to dominate them or lord over them, neglect them, or be careless about them. So then how does this apply to our life? Who is our stepbrother? He may treat other guru's disciple to be the stepbrothers, right? So we need to have, aside from all of this, we need to have impartial treatment. We have to treat everyone alike. Srila Prabhupada says, there is only one guru, who is Krishna. And that is Krishna Vande Jagat Guru. And Krishna speaks through various people, like various Guru Maharajas. They are there. They are Krishna's representatives. So we should treat everyone alike. We are all family. So this is a big topic, but I'm going to leave it at this as an essence. In text 40, he's remembering Pritha. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that a faithful wife cannot live without her lord, the husband, and therefore all widows used to voluntarily embrace the burning fire which consumed the dead husband. This system was very common in India because all the wives were chaste and faithful to their husbands. Later on, with the advent of the age of Kali, the wives gradually began to be less adherent to their husbands, and voluntarily embraced the fire by the widows became a thing of the past. Very recently, the system was abolished since the voluntary system had become a forcible social custom. So I think this things come up in the later cantos. I think that's when we can discuss more about how once a woman become a widow and how she should observe or how she should treat herself like that, being very, very simple like that. But I'm not going to go more into detail because I'm not an expert on that. In text 41, he says that I simply lament for Dhritarashtra. Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport that Vidura is never, remember this, Vidura is never desiring ill of Dhritarashtra, even for those who did bad for him. That is the quality of a devotee. So devotees never desire ill for others. They desire always good, even to the enemies. That is another lesson we can learn. So then Vidura was traveling like that, and then Vidura describes how Krishna refrained from killing Kurus personally, but then he waited to assemble at the war, and he killed them in one shot. So that is the description he gives. And then what is the reason when Krishna comes? So Krishna comes to kill the wicked, and also more importantly, to attract all kinds of people, whether karmis, jnanis, bhaktas, and by his lila that he performs. So we are at the end of the chapters. Text 42. So there are, you need, if you have time, you may read purports by Srila Prabhupada of text 42, 43, 44, and 45. In 42, in text 42, just an essence that the painful feelings in our heart or grievances which we carry, they can only be mitigated by
Yeah, I'm muted, Madhvi. Continue.
So in text 42, I'm just giving an essence that I was just saying that the painful feelings in our heart or grievances which we carry, they can only be mitigated by hearing about the colorful, sweet pastimes of the Lord. So we should always remember Krishna in sorrow or in happiness. So that will alleviate, or that will give us more emphasis or give us strength to remember Krishna. In text 45, so those are like very related, so we can just give an essence here. In text 45, that's the end of that's the 45th is the end of the verse. It's another nice verse. So he basically describes, please glorify the Supreme Lord, and how he came to show his mercy to Yadus, and by chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, which is that is even more than going to a holy place. So, and then he's saying that like I went to all holy places, now please share Krishna Katha with me, like that, and he's describing right now. Then Prabhupada in this purport emphasizes the purpose of pilgrimage. So when we know that when we go to pilgrimage places like Vrindavan, Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, our purpose is to meet sadhus and hear from them. Hear from them what? Krishna Katha. And remember Lord constantly, which is chanting. And we also should get a chance to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what Prabhupada explains in this purport also. So essentially, we can learn from here many things from this chapter. But overall, Sukadeva Goswami is describing how Vidura and Uddhava met and what did they discuss before he goes to Vidura and Maitreya conversation. So basically, some of the essence we can learn from this chapter were how Vidura took misery as mercy, and then how Vidura took the association of devotee like Uddhava at the pilgrimage places, and how Vidura performed fearlessly and depending on Krishna different vows like Ekadashi Vrata and devotional service to Krishna. And then how as a devotee, Vidura is exemplifying the quality of always desiring good for everyone. And that is what we can learn from this. So like if you want to get one thing out of this, always desire good for everyone, never desire ill of others. And that's something that we should practically apply in our life as well, as practicing devotees. And with this, I'm going to end. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All the Vaishnavas ki jai. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madhvi. Let's offer obeisances to devotees also. Vanchakalpataru besha kupasundu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you so much, Madhvi, for a wonderful class.